What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk to you about Palantir. So I did ask a lot of you, what stocks would you like me to cover? And a lot of people said Palantir, along with many others. So I'm going to be adding a couple other stocks to my list. And so I wanted to go over the current data points for Palantir, what the technicals are saying, and everything that you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. Starting off with Palantir, it is down 1.64%, piggybacking off of the broader market's fear, and that is brought on because of PPI data today, as well as initial jobless claims. So not necessarily the best chain of events, especially piggybacking off of what Powell said yesterday, but 20.4 million shares being traded, 47.4 is the average. I have actually been watching Palantir for a while now. So I've done a lot of swing trades, and even in some cases, for full transparency, I've even shorted it and made money either direction, because a lot of people really do like Palantir. It's very volatile, and sometimes the price action doesn't make sense, especially over this last week. But still, nonetheless, one thing I really do like about Palantir long term is that it's primarily invested by institutions. So you see a lot of transactions on a daily basis. So that is a nice change of events from what I typically do cover, where a lot of stocks are just massively, heavily shorted, and that obviously kind of does a lot of damage to the underlying stock price. So again, it's a good change of events to see institutions physically getting into Palantir. Even today though, on a side note, I think a lot of them are selling based on the bid, the ask, and the selling price. And on a side note, these are all transactions above $100,000 on the secondary market. But you do see a lot of selling right here, and so obviously that's what really dragged it down, essentially right here. You saw some buying first thing, but majority of the selling is just being done by these institutions selling. So not the best. Of course, I think right now that had to do with Palantir's technicals as well, so I'm going to go over all that. As of late, there hasn't been really any news. There was that AIPCon that was last week, so I think that came out of absolutely nowhere, but that really did cause somewhat of a FOMO. As you can kind of see even on the stock price, it did go up because of that. But I think the first sign of weakness, this is where you did see a pullback, and I think right now might be just the start of potentially a further pullback. But once again, I'm going to go over the technicals. When it comes down to shorts, like I said, it's a nice change of events covering a stock that's not heavily shorted. And even when you have a CEO that basically says F you to the shorts, and I think that's absolutely key. I think it was roughly around here, if I remember correctly, in February, when Alex Karp just said, hey, you know what, you guys are busy snorting coke, trying to destroy a good American company, F you. So obviously rewording that, but amazing stuff. I think more CEOs should actually do that. But 3.78% of the free float is being shorted, utilization 4.41%, and then 72.79 million shares overall are being shorted. That equates to $1.71 billion. So as I've said, obviously Palantir does have some shorts, but it's not a squeeze play by any means. So obviously you guys do your own due diligence, and sorry to let you guys down if you guys were really hoping for a squeeze play, but definitely not going to happen with Palantir. Maybe in the foreseeable future, if it does continue to run up, and then you'll see a little bit more of an injection from shorts, but as of right now, not so much. As of late, I'll give you a quick overview, popping over to Interactive Brokers. These are some of the latest analyst ratings. Last one was done 6 days ago, $28 price target, Bank of America, and Maria, who does have a 84% success rating. So epic stuff. $28, very optimistic. Aside from that, you did have a sell rating by William Blair and a couple others all over the place. As a consensus, $22.11 is the price target among all the ratings, and that is a 5.5% downside. So in the past, I have done random videos on Palantir under my other channel, and I've said it back then, and it still holds true. Wall Street does not know how to appropriately evaluate Palantir, and it's very apparent just based on this as well. Analysts cannot decide exactly on how Palantir should be really judged. And so you do see bullish. So the high is $35. That was done by Wedbush, Daniel Ives, 52% success rating. Then you do have a $9 low by RBC, Rishi, who has a 48% success rating. So it is all over the place. While I'm actually on Interactive Brokers, a couple of other data points I want to show you. Latest Morningstar report for Palantir based on just the assets is roughly around $16. So again, kind of middle ground for the analyst ratings. And based on the Elliott Wave technicals, a lot of people really do like the Elliott Wave technicals, but it does have a pivot point of $21.20. So for as long as Palantir is above that, then this is where it should be hitting between that $28 and $29 range. So I think pretty epic stuff. The only caveat I wanted to mention about this is that technically stochastic, just looking at that right now, it is rather high. So the first sign of weakness, which based on what Powell said and just the data from today, it is showing some signs of weakness. And the first sign of weakness, you are going to see a pullback, because Palantir, for the most part over this last little bit, is considered overbought. So again, I think a consolidation does need to occur, but as long as it does continue to stay above that pivot point of around 21.20. So definitely watch for that going forward. Number of retail investors have been getting in over this last little bit. So you can kind of see they were selling ever since May the 24th and then decided to buy. What I'll do is actually I'll go back over to Interactive Brokers and give you an overview of one thing, and that is the ownership. So looking at the ownership, 892 million shares is being held by institutions, 110 by strategic entities, and then 1.13 billion by other. So a pretty good percentage, in my opinion, between institutions and retail. And so like I said, a lot of stocks typically that are heavily shorted have a massive amount of retail, like 70% plus. And so I think this is a pretty good divide between the two. So once again, just giving you guys a full overview of all of that fun stuff. Moving on, looking at options, 9.05 million in calls and then 2.74 million in puts. Sentiment wise, 46% of all the options being done today are bearish. So clearly anticipating more of a pullback. Of the call options that are being purchased, you do see a consensus between that around $24.50 and maybe around $25 by the end of this Friday, so June the 14th, so pretty much tomorrow. So a lot of people are anticipating more of a continuation of that rally. Looking at puts though, you do see consensus for it to be sub $23. So both are very much linked to the technicals and everything else. So moving on, just to go over this. So with it right now at $23.37, it is trading between this pivot and this R1. So $22.51 is that next strong support. Vice versa, $24.37 is that next strong resistance / target. And that was, I believe, the high for yesterday. So this is why it kind of lost a lot of steam, is because it was going up and then of course it kind of hit this very strong resistance level. With it being somewhat overbought, it just wasn't really there, right? Institutions weren't really willing to push it higher than this R1. In my opinion, it was probably pushed a little bit higher than what it should have, but still doesn't matter at this point. So going forward, just watch $24.37 for it to kind of break above that. So probably after this round of consolidation. But I think all in all, Palantir is doing a hell of a lot of good things. You can tell that based on their last couple of earnings. So even though I do tend to agree that I think it does need to pull down slightly, this is one of those stocks that you definitely need to add to your watch list. So don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. So on a side note, I'm going to be doing Palantir videos going forward, maybe once a week, or if there's some news or some data points I feel that is relevant to bring up, then obviously stay tuned. If there is any other tickers that floats your boat that you're interested in, throw them in the description below. I can definitely kind of do a quick review, and if I like them, then yeah, I'll add them to the list. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And one final thing, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for a new account, throw $100 at it, and they give you 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. Kick-ass deal. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.